to a brand new episode of your favorite podcast, Soulfully Thorvi, with your host, Thorvi. Let's discuss about relationships today, or what I would like to call the dance of a relationship. And how can intuition really help you in it? Intuition is not something that pops up only during crisis or some brilliant idea dash. Intuition is ever present and is an integral part of being alive. Tapping into one's intuition, strengthening that voice from within, and gaining the ability to distinguish it from fears can give you an edge in life. It can help you operate smoothly and avoid a lot of unnecessary heartache and unpleasant surprises. Listening to your inner voice can tremendously strengthen your relationships, especially in intimate relationships like a husband and a wife or life partners. It can help you empathize more, listen and observe more, and respond rather than react. It can help you analyze your own emotions, outbursts, and even enthusiasm. When we use a blanket term like love, what we mean really is harmony in living with each other. Similar to an orchestrated ballroom dance, if you may. When one person puts a foot forward, the other moves his or her foot backwards so as not to step on each other's toes. Effortless living under the same roof without locking horns every day so that each person gets the space to grow. Now, that is an ideal partnership, isn't it? And I know that practically it may not always be possible because we are not superhuman, but there are still some things that you can incorporate and maybe they will help you out. So, here are a few ways you can inculcate intuition in your everyday life. Like I said, no one is perfect and neither is any relationship. But if we really want to succeed, these small steps can take us a long way. What's the first one? Well, I feel it's becoming aware of the person's energy. They say when two people live together for many years, they even start looking like each other. I mean, what does that mean? I don't think it means the physical features. We imbibe each other's energy and hence we feel the same on an energetic level. So start by detecting your partner's energy. It is something to be felt and it's natural. You don't have to try too hard. And I'm sure you're all already doing it on some level. You can instantly feel if your partner is sad, angry, or happy. If you take the time daily to observe them in silence and just sit next to them for a while. Maybe they're watching a movie or reading a book or even just sipping coffee. Slowly you'll start picking up on their energetic well-being and will help you communicate better. So let me give you an example. You sense that your partner is tired. You may want to give him or her some space and maybe keep the stressful topic like finances for a later time in that day. Springing this topic on them when they are tired might stress them out further and cause some unnecessary exchange of words. Yes, this is a very simple example, and right now you must be thinking, like, duh, that's so obvious. But we don't always be that conscious, are we? It does not mean that you start walking on eggshells around your partner. It just means dancing with their energy so that you have harmony. If both of you decide to be conscious of each other, it'll definitely improve the relationship. Now, something I would like you to do and understand is that this is not a one-time activity. This needs to be part of your daily life. So, what's the harm in giving it a try? If you are consistent enough and if you are able to get them on board, I mean, voila, that would be a beautiful chemistry waiting to happen. What else can you do? I think being more empathetic. Empathy is underrated in a relationship. And empathy seriously is dying in our society, even within our families. Empathy is important for us to have emotional intelligence, compassion, kindness, gratitude, and love. Empathy is the sensor that first pushes us to feel another person's sorrow difficulty, and challenge so that we can either help them or stop interfering or stop expecting from them. For example, again, if there's a young wife with a toddler at home and she has her hands full, she's most probably exhausted most of the time, physically, mentally, and emotionally. If the husband can come back from work, freshen up, and make a small effort of making the tea or coffee for himself and his wife, that itself can relieve her for a little bit. He can choose to cook that day something good, or that could be a good way to de stress himself, by the way. And then that supports his wife. He can take his toddler, son or daughter to the park for an hour. That gives her some time to do other chores. These small yet conscious steps, without expecting any acknowledgement, are driven by empathy. Empathy does not demand acknowledgement. So let me be clear on that. It is the conscious effort of supporting your partner and treating him or her truly as a partner. 50-50. Alright. So what else? Now, a very important part is knowing when to back off and when to motivate. Staying together under one roof does not guarantee you know that person. You may become familiar with the routines of a person, but unless there is quality communication, you never really know each other. There have been countless incidents of suicide when the husband or wife were clueless that their partner was in depression. It is very easy to step on each other while living under the same roof, even if you cannot understand each other fully. The attempt should be that you're not pushing each other to any extreme action. Obviously, this was an extreme example, but I felt it was important to put it out there. Again, self-observation is the magic wand. There are times a person needs motivation and then times when a person needs to be left alone. And you will only know this through trial and error, of course. But once you get a hang of it, ensure you follow through. Don't keep pushing the same buttons again and again. For example, men really need to man up and understand that women go through periods every month and they suffer the same amount of pain, discomfort, and mood swings as the first time they ever experienced it. Nobody gets used to pain and discomfort. No, we just get better at handling it. So, it's not like they can just get over their pain. That's a ridiculous notion. Women just learn to hide their discomfort and just push through every month. And the next stage of challenge is during menopause, when the discomfort is actually doubled and the emotional swings are even more aggravated. Men need to be aware of their partner's monthly cycles and support them emotionally and physically. If a woman has period cramps and cannot attend your boss's birthday party with you, instead of sulking, complaining, and asking her to man up, you need to man up. Ask her to rest. Go to that party alone and bring back some cake. That is all that it takes to respect your partner, her body, and her space. Then you need to ask yourself, are you really listening? I want you to stop and think for a moment. Do you really listen to your partner? You may have amazing hearing capacity, but do you listen to your partner? The difference is subtle and yet profound. Listening is not just by your ears. Listening is also in terms of body language and verbal cues. Women sometimes miss these cues in men completely. Men may not explicitly tell you what they need, but they do express themselves in their own way. So instead of hovering over and suffocating your man, learn to listen to him. He will tell you he needs an evening with his friends to watch a match and have some beers, so then let him go. Or he may tell you he needs time to read a book or meditate or go for a walk on his own. Let him go. Women often confuse love with neediness. Trust is something you should have. It does not depend on the other person, by the way. Trust is your decision. It's your decision to trust someone completely or not. And yes, whether they break that trust or not is not in your control. Still, you have to learn to trust. So relax. Learn to listen. You'll be able to identify genuine needs and the person will appreciate you that much more. Trust me. The other thing which I think will help is assurance, or rather reassurance. Assurance of being there for each other. As humans, we need reassurance quite often because life is unpredictable. Situations change, people change, and the highs and lows of life can get extremely difficult. The reason we crave for a committed relationship is our tiny effort at bringing some sort of stability to our lives. The reason many marriages fall apart is that the husband or the wife stop caring enough to provide that reassurance to each other. They take each other so much for granted that they don't see the need for it. But there is always one of them who needs it, and if denied, starts acting too clingy, too needy, and eventually resentful. Reassurance in terms of direct communication is the best way, but if that doesn't work, show each other that through some action. Freedom in a relationship is knowing that you can fight and disagree without the fear of the relationship falling apart. I think this is really, really important. And it's not just important in a husband wife relationship. I think this is important in any solid long term relationship, whether it is with your parents, whether it's with your siblings, whether it's with your friends. So I'm going to repeat that. Freedom in a relationship is knowing that you can fight and disagree without the fear of the relationship falling apart. At the end of the day, your relationship is important enough to form the strong foundation for each other, and especially the family that you create. So instead of hoping for that Disneyland kind of romance and expecting everything else from the other person, I think it's high time you start looking at marriage and looking at romance as a long term partnership, a long term journey where you walk together. I heard this somewhere, I think by the author Timber Hawkeye in his book, The Buddhist Boot Camp, where he says that a partnership or a relationship it's like soulmates are not going to go eventually and meet somewhere. You're walking together. You're like two sides of a railway track. You are never going to meet. I mean, I'm not saying that in a sad way. I'm just saying that you're always going to be two individuals who walk alongside each other. So instead of trying to force fit each other into your own molds, instead of trying to make someone something that they are not, how about you just hold your hands together and decide to walk together, improve each other, give each other space, find quality time to spend with each other. Whatever that life has to offer you in terms of the highs and the lows, just accept that and be someone's person. I think we all are searching for our person. And some of us are lucky enough to find our person in our spouse, or some of us find our person in a friend. Some of us find our person in family, or sometimes, and unfortunately for shorter periods of time, with our pets as well. But the idea is to walk together, holding hands in one direction. All right. So I'm going to leave you with that. The key word is harmony, respect, giving space, understanding, and you can do all of this through practicing intuition. Signing off for now, your host, Thorvi. Loads of love and please take care.